You have said it your whole life. You whispered it in the dark when you were afraid. You recited it in the light when you were thankful. It is the rhythmic heartbeat of Western spirituality. Our Father, who art in heaven, the words roll off the tongue like water familiar. Safe, holy. It is the most repeated prayer in human history, spoken by billions of voices across continents and centuries. But what if I told you that the prayer you know is a fragment, a circle left unclosed? What if I told you that somewhere between the dust of the upper room and the ink of the printed Bible, a line was cut? Not by accident, not by the erosion of time, but by the cold, calculated intention of men who were building an empire. You were given a version that ends with a period, but the original prayer ended with a return. Tonight, we are not just analyzing history. We are performing an excavation of the soul. We are going to uncover the lost ending, the line that transformed this prayer from a petition to a distant king into a mystical technology of union. You have felt the absence of this line every time you said amen, and felt the silence come too soon. By the end of this video, you will not just learn what was removed, you will speak it, and you will understand why the church could not afford to let you remember it. To understand the erasure, we must first understand the editor. The removal of the final line was not an accident of translation. It was a necessity of control. Let us transport ourselves to the 4th century. The year is 325 A. The Emperor Constantine has legalized Christianity, but he has also politicized it. The faith is moving from the caves of mystics to the palaces of bishops. It is becoming the religion of the Roman Empire. In this transition, the church faced a critical problem. The early mystical teachings of Jesus preserved in the oral traditions of the Aramaic speakers and the Gnostic communities of Egypt were incompatible with an imperial structure. The early mystics taught the asista idea that the believer and the divine are one essence, but an empire needs hierarchy. It needs a distinct separation between the ruler and the subject, between the priest and the laity, between God and man. The church didn't just preserve the teachings, it curated them. They selected the texts that reinforced obedience and discarded the ones that sparked inner liberation. This was the era of the Great Editing, the Council of Nicaea, the formation of the canon. In the desert sands of Nag Hammadi, Egypt, in 1945, we found what they tried to bury. We found texts, like the Gospel of Thomas, and the teaching documents of the Decode, which hint at a Christianity that was far more experiential than the one we inherited. In these older, Aramaic-rooted traditions, the Lord's Prayer was not a plea to a distant monarch. It was a circuit. It began in the heavens, descended to earth, and then crucially it spiraled back into the practitioner. But the version you have today, it stops. It replaces the mystical return with a political declaration. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory. A line added centuries later to mimic the way subjects addressed a Roman emperor. They replaced the breath of union with the language of submission. Why? Because a believer who knows they share the breath of God does not need a priest to mediate their salvation. And that was a dangerous idea. Let us decode the erasure. To find the lost line, we must leave the Greek and Latin translations and return to the source code, Aramaic, the language Jesus actually spoke. In Aramaic, meaning is not static, it is vibrational. When Jesus said, Father, he used the word Abwoon. Western theology translates this as a male parent, but Abwoon is far more primal. It implies the source of the breath, or the unity from which all form arises. It is not a person, it is a process. Now, look at the structure of the prayer, It descends. Thy kingdom come, ... On earth as in heaven. It asks, give us this day, ... Forgive us. Lead us not, ... And then, Amen. So be it. A hard stop. A closed door. But the ancient mystics, the desert fathers like Evagrius Ponticus, understood prayer as a circle, not a line. They knew that energy sent out must return. The original ending found in the oral traditions and hinted at in the Nag Hammadi fragments provided this return. The reconstruction of the lost line based on the Aramaic resonance and the mystical theology of the time, translates to, "For yours is the breath that moves through all things, and the light that remembers itself in me." Let's analyze the mechanism of this suppression. The church replaced the breath that moves through all things with the power. They replaced the light that remembers itself with the glory. Do you see the pattern? Power and glory are external attributes of a king. You watch them, Jufirtem. You submit to them. Breath and light are internal attributes of life. You breathe them. You embody them. You are them. The final line was not a metaphor. It was an instruction manual. It taught the initiate that the spirit in Aramaic. Ruka is not a ghost in the machine, it is the very oxygen in your lungs. By cutting this line, the institution severed the feedback loop. They created a spirituality where you are always asking, always wanting, always waiting for a God who is out there. They turned a technology of awakening into a ritual of dependency. Fast forward 2,000 years. Look at the spiritual state of the modern world. We are the most connected civilization in history, yet we suffer from a profound ontological loneliness. We feel a gap, a silence that isn't peace, but absence. This is not a coincidence. It is the experiential consequence of the erasure. For 20 centuries, the Western mind has been programmed with a prayer that has no exhale. We have been trained to project divinity outward to politicians, to celebrities, to technology, to a distant God because we forgot how to complete the circuit within ourselves. We are living in the Aman. We are stuck in the Soviet. We accept the separation as the default state of reality, the modern crisis of mental health, of addiction, of meaning. Perhaps it is rooted in this spiritual truth. We are starving for a connection that we have been told is forbidden. We are waiting for a permission slip to access the divine, not realizing that the access point is woven into our biology. When the Gnostic texts say, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you," they are speaking to this exact moment in history. The lost ending is not just ancient history. It is the antidote to modern alienation. It reminds us that we are not biological accidents fighting for survival. We are the light remembering itself. The church could erase the ink, but they could not erase the breath. Because as long as you are alive, the prayer is happening inside you. Tonight, we are going to fix the circuit. We are going to reclaim the ending. I want you to do this with me. This is not a performance. It is a restoration. Close your eyes. Place one hand on your heart and one on your belly. Breathe. Feel that desire. That is the Ruka. That is the spirit. It belongs to no religion. It belongs to no church. It is the life force of the Father moving through the child. Say the prayer with me in the cathedral of your own heart. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us as we forgive. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And now the return. Speak it. Fil Italiano. For yours is the spirit and the light, forever breathing through me. Do you feel that? That shift. That is the difference between a ritual and a reality. The gap is closed. The separation is an illusion. You are the vessel. The kingdom is not coming. The kingdom is here. If this touched a memory in your blood, if you felt the circuit complete, then you are part of the remembering. The authorities of the past erased the line to keep you small. But the authorities of the past are gone. And you are here. Keep the line. Breathe it. Become it. I've compiled more of these forgotten fragments in the Sacred Scrolls archive, linked below. Join us in the private community, where we continue this excavation. Go in peace, and remember, you are not speaking to God. You are breathing with Him.